As per RESA, the following is qualified to be a real estate appraiser. Letter C. Graduate of relevant bachelor's degree. It refers an estimate of value as of a particular point in time, increase in peso amount. The answer is appraisal. The following appraisal report is no longer allowed under the Real Estate Service Act of the Philippines, so the correct answer is oral report. It is not a purpose of appraisal, so capital gain tax. A purpose of appraisal where it is used to determine the fair market values of properties for distribution to heirs, partitionings of estate. A principle of appraisal is the supply is influenced by demand. The following are required to post bond before engaging in a practice. Private real estate appraiser. Another term used to refer to a private real estate appraiser and is used in the RESA is valuer. The value of replaceable property tends to be indicated by the value of an equally desirable substitute property is called the principle of substitution. When one talks about the use which at the time of appraisal is most likely to produce the greatest net return, it refers to highest and best use. The applications of larger and larger amounts of the agents and the productions will produce greater and the greater net income. Increasing returns up to a point surplus productivity is increasing and diminishing returns. A principle that is comprised of reasonable degree of social and economic homogeneity is conformity. A principle that the value is the worth of all present and future benefits arising from the ownership and use of real property, principles of anticipation. In an area in the city, a building value at 30 million was built right beside an old dilapidated establishment, which tend to increase a value of such establishment and is a principle is called progression. This is considered a factor that influences to create value to real estate. The answer is social ideals and standards. When a real property's value depreciates in a view of the decline in the utility of features of the property may be referred to as functional obsolescence. A beautiful two-story house was located in the city, but thereafter a shanty was put up beside the property, and its value will be negative, affected, in which is the principle of regression. It is considered an approach to value and real estate appraisal under the principles of anticipation, income approach. In making a survey of similar properties in the area, the appraiser used the market data approach, which is based on the principle of substitution. It is an approach which utilizes the concept of determining replacement costs and adjusting for depreciations of house and lot. So cost approach. It generally requires an estimate of the actual or stabilized gross income less provisions for vacancy and bad debts, operating expenses such as building insurance, real estate taxes, repairs and maintenance, and administrative charges, income approach. If a building is depreciated of 2% per year, what will be the life of the building using the simple depreciation method? 50 years. The gross income multiplier may also be used to determine the value of the property and may be computed by dividing the selling price of the comparable property by the annual gross income. It is considered an approach to value and real estate appraisal. The answer is market data approach. A 7-door apartment was sold for 6,600,000 in the area, which had an annual gross income of 600,000. What is the gross income multiplier? The answer is 11. A property has an annual gross income of 1,400,000. In his market study, An investor found that a comparable property with an annual gross income of 1 million was recently sold for 6 million using GIM. What is the estimated value of the property? So the answer is 8,400,000. A lot was being sold by the owner and had the lot appraised by the appraiser who got the following information. Corner influence plus 10, topography minus 5, sheep plus 15, lot B which was recently sold at 8,000 per square meter. What is the estimated value per square meter of lot A? So the answer is 9,600,000. Under the RISA, a private real estate appraiser must pay the following bond to engage in the practice. So the answer is 20,000. In order for an assistant city assessor to be promoted to the higher position of chief assessor, it is required that he or she must a licensed real estate appraiser. The real estate appraiser refers to the private real estate appraiser and the public real estate appraiser. It is considered an imaginary line used by the geodetic engineer in the plotting and locating a specific property T-line. A map which provides general locations of real property, including the surrounding of landmarks and reference points, is referred to as vicinity map. A person who is a licensed professional who undertakes survey, and determinations of boundaries of a lot is called geodetic engineer. To determine the shape of dimensions of the lot being purchased, the buyer must be able to obtain a copy of this plan, lot plan. It is the counting the number of steps and required distance determine the distance. Facing. It is the angle less than 90 degree measured from north or south meridian and referred to in a plotting a lot as bearing. In plotting a technical descriptions or a lot, 1 degree is considered equivalent to 60 minutes. A map that identifies flood-prone and landslide-prone area in the country and shows which areas have high chances of soil erosions in which area are low-lying and flood-prone area is referred to as a geohazard map. The map showing all details that make up the surface features of the earth is generally called is topographic map. In a topographic map, these are lines that indicate variations in the land elevations is referred to as contour lines. It is a plan showing the general features and layout of a subdivision including block and lots and open spaces. Subdivision plan. A common point of reference is seen in the technical description as BLBM, which means Bureau of Lands Value Monument, a service whose principal purpose is determinations of data relating to the bodies of water are referred to as hydrographic survey. This involved the classifications of the country's unclassified public forests into alienable or disposable lands. So the answer is land classification survey. The shape of details of a lot may be more accurately plotted using the descriptions found in the transfer certificate of title. In a title, the letter PSU appears, which would mean private survey. In case several lots were acquired to be developed into a subdivision, the survey would be a private consolidation subdivision survey indicated by the letters PSN. A private subdivision survey indicated using the letters. The correct answer is PSD. A lot buyer wanted to have the 6 parcel of land he just bought all adjacent to each other into one title. He will have this survey undertaken, private consolidation survey. In order for Mr. Iner to plot the shape of details of the lot he just bought from the transfer certificate of title, he must have at least the following data: bearing and distance from a lot points. It is relationship between the thing desired a potential purchaser. The answer is value. An observations in the principles of appraisal is that desire for property to be effective must be backed by purchasing power. It is not the value factor in the appraisal of the parcel of land, sun orientation. It reflects the loss in the value brought about by the wear and tear and the actions of natural elements, deterioration. The subdivision plan of a parcel of land which has been subdivided into several lots will have to be approved by this government agency, Bureau of Lands. A city assessor, under the RESA, after taking the licensure examination, the passing the same will be given a license as licensed real estate appraiser, generally referred to as a surveyor, a function which is undertake the land survey to determine the limits and bounds and prepare the plans thereof for titling and for other purposes. Geodetic engineer. In order to mark the land boundaries on the parcel of land, the following is used as the marker: cylindrical concrete monument. Market data approach is appraisal is also called sales comparison approach. The cost to create a virtual replica of an existing building using the same design and similar building materials is referred to as reproduction cost, a financial modeling technique based on explicit assumptions regarding the prospective cash flow, income, and expense to as property or business. Discounted cash flow analysis. The estimated period over which a building or machinery is anticipated to be profitably utilized. Economic life. A lost value within the structure due to a changes in taste preferences, technical innovations, or market standard. Functional obsolescence. It is referred to the discount rate that equates the present value of the cash flow of a project to the present value of the capital investment. Internal rate of return. The practice of appraising multiple properties as of a given date by a systematic and uniform applications of appraisal methods and technique, mass appraisal. The measures of the difference between the discounted revenue or inflows and the costs or outflows and discounted cash flow analysis, net present value. The value corresponding to the remaining useful life of an asset commonly used in regard to the machinery, remaining value. The estimated amount that the entity would currently obtain from disposal of an asset. After deducting the estimated cost of disposal, if the asset were already of the age and in the conditions expected at the end of its useful life, residual value, a highly accurate method to field operations of identifying real property, defining property boundaries, determining actual use, and discovering undeclared properties for taxation purposes, tax mapping. The transaction freely arrived at in the open market, unaffected by the abnormal pressures or absence of normal competitive negotiation as might be true in the case an arm's length transaction. The act or process of determining the value of the property subject to tax, including discovery listing, classification, and appraisal of property, real property tax administration. The increase in value of the other interests of the property owner that can be attributed to the new use to which his former property will be put by the expropriating authority, consequential benefits. The assigning of new assessed value of the property, particularly in real estate, reassessment. The cost of constructing an exact replica of the building being appraised based on the current prices of labor and materials and the contractor practices. Reproduction costs. It is the cost of constructing a similar property which is equally desirable and has the same utility as the one under appraisal. Replacement cost. A graphic representation of an LGU drawn to scale on standards drawing materials, having property lines showing all parcels of real property and identifying its separate real property ownership by a unique number. Tax map. The value remaining after deducting depreciations from the replacement cost, depreciated value, refers to cash meets area or drainage basin from which the water of the stream or stream system is drawn. Watershed. It is provided that before any general revisions of real property assessment is made, the following should first be prepared by the city or municipality. Schedule of market values. An open-sided drafted automobile shelter that is usually formed by an extension of the side of a building under the MRPEEO is referred to as carport.